Okay, so we're continuing on Zoom, and I want to look at the settings. The settings are the most important part of Zoom because it enables you to see what features you have, and what features you can add for free. All right, now my version is not a free version, but you can still see what the different features settings are. So I've clicked on settings on the left-hand side. This is in my web browser. And I'm going to go through quickly the ones that I think are important to look at. So the first one we come up to, you'll see that there's another menu: security, schedule meeting, in meeting basic, in meeting advanced, email, other. Right. And then this is the main part, the different features within setting. So we're starting with security and waiting room. So a waiting room, you can enable it. Notice it is blue, which means that the waiting room is enabled. If I click on it, it goes gray, so that means I do not have a waiting room. I want a waiting room, so I'm going to make sure it's blue. Now, a waiting room it helps with security. It helps secure your meeting, in that anyone who tries to join your meeting first goes into your waiting room, and then you can see based on their name whether or not you want to let them into your actual meeting. So if you do, you're going to admit them to your meeting. Okay, so that's an option. There are some meetings possibly where it's open to the public, it's open to anyone, and so then you may not need a waiting room because you might not know who the people are. So you won't need a waiting room there. Saying that though, even if you let everyone in without the waiting room, you have the option of removing a participant if they're giving trouble, let's see, right? So you have that option. You also have the option of customizing your waiting room. So you can put a special message there. I think it says the host will let you in. That's the default message when you go into the waiting room. But you can put a specific message there if you wish. You can enable a passcode or not. Okay. Embed the passcode in the invite link for one link join. Now, there are two minds about this. It's easier for the participant, and a participant is a term you use for those who are joining your meeting, right? It's easier for the participant if they just click on a link and they get into your meeting one time. So in one of the other videos, you saw that in order to join, you need a meeting ID and a passcode, or you can get in with the link alone. And there are some meetings where you click on the link and then you have to type in the passcode after that. Or just click on the link and you are in. Now, right, two minds about that, in that it's easier for the participant. They click on it, they're in. However, it's a further security if the person was just forwarded or copied the link alone and they were not supposed to be in that meeting, and the passcode is embedded, then they can get into your meeting. Otherwise, usually if you send the link with the passcode separately, then two things have to be sent in order for you to get into the meeting. So it's just an additional security feature. So that's up to you whether you embed the passcode or not. It depends on your meeting too. And you'll notice that these settings can change as you go along. So you might decide on a setting now and then later on decide that you do want something or don't want something, so you can change that. All right, authenticated users. So authenticated users would be those that have to sign in with Zoom. In one of the first videos I showed you where you can sign in with Zoom, only you need the meeting ID and the passcode. You don't need to actually sign in with Zoom. Let's see, host the video. Okay, so this one is starts the meeting with the host video on. So it means that you as the host should have your video on. I have the option of having it off. Alright, so if I wish, I can take it off. So it means also that when I go into the meeting, my video is not on as soon as I get in. And for me, that's a personal preference in that I rather be able to have some time to settle down, then I put on my video when I'm ready. I just don't like the video to be on as the meeting starts. Same thing with the participants. You know, some participants aren't aware that the video is going to be on. I like to give the option of that. So I do not have the video on as soon as the participant comes into the meeting. They can put it on when they're ready, if required, in the meeting. Audio type is both. Join before host. Now, this is an option you can make available. In that you can allow participants to join the meeting before you do. So you're the person who sets up the meetings, can schedule a meeting. But if once you send out the link, this option, if chosen, when you set up the meeting, allows participants to go into the link and have their own conversation in the meeting without you being there. And sometimes that's useful. There is also the option of, well, of course, you have to start the meeting. Otherwise, the meeting cannot happen. No one else can talk to each other unless you are there. Okay? But that option to join before the host, I have it selected. But only when I'm setting up the meeting do I say yes or no. Do I want to join before or not? I can decide it then. But I have the option available to me. Next one. Okay. Mute participants upon entry. Automatically mute all participants when they join the meeting. Actually, I should do this. Yes. Same thing like with the video. I like to give participants and myself a chance to unmute when I'm ready. So as soon as you go into the meeting, as soon as you join, participant joins the meeting, the mic should be on mute. In that way, you know, someone can be joining and they're still speaking to someone, still settling down, but at least they click on a link and they're trying to join. In this way, you're not hearing all this background noise when someone joins your meeting. So I like that option to mute participants upon entry. And then the participants has the choice of unmuting when they're ready, right? Or you, as the host, can ask them to unmute. Okay. Send meeting reminders. It's up to you. So you can set up a calendar if you wish. The chat. So the chat allow participants to send a message visible to all participants. Allow for private meeting participants to send a private one-on-one message. Auto save chat. So if you press auto save chats, now you can save the chat when the Zoom meeting is going on or after. But this option, as soon as your meeting is done, the chat is saved automatically for you, and it pops up in your screen as a text document. So that's your option. I obviously don't have it selected at the moment. Sound notification. Okay, now this. You know, when someone comes into the meeting, there's a ding, a little bell sound going off. Now that can be a bit annoying. However, it is useful because at host you might want to know who comes into the meeting, who leaves, or when they do, right? But you have the option of who hears the sound. You can put it for everyone to hear, and people will be confused by what's this bell sound. And then, or you can have the host and co-host alone hear it. And I've selected that because they're the ones who are really concerned about who is joining and who is leaving, right? So I have it as host and co-host, as you see here. The only drawback with this about having the sound, even as only the host and co-host can hear it, is that if the host and co-host want to play a video, you have to enable the computer sound for the video sound to be heard. And if someone is entering or leaving at that time, you're going to have to hear this ding, you know, the little bell go off, the little notification go off while the video is playing. So everyone will hear that while the video is playing. So that's the only drawback to the sound. File transfer, so you can enable a file to be transferred within the chat. I have that there. So like say a Word document, I can send a Word document through the chat. Yeah, send a file. Feedback to Zoom. Okay, co-host. I've allowed, you have to enable this. This feature is normally disabled. That's disabled. That feature is usually disabled. You have to enable it. Those are the words, right? So co-host, you have to enable a co-host. Okay, you have to select this, that yes, you want to have co-host. Polling option, this option only comes with the paid version. To always show the meeting control bar. So I've selected that option, always show the meeting control bar, control toolbar, in that when you're sharing something, or even during a meeting, the toolbar usually disappears and then reappears as you move your mouse. I find that's a little annoying. I rather it stay there throughout the entire meeting. So that's a personal preference, right? So that's up to you. Show the Zoom windows during screen share. So when you're sharing the screen, the Zoom window, as you as host, the Zoom window tends to disappear. I like to still see the screen, even though I'm sharing. I like to still monitor who is chatting, who has a hand raised, whatever. Screen sharing, right? So this enables screen sharing. Who can share? I have host only. Participants would mean anybody can share if they wish to. At the same time, within the meeting itself, I have the option to change this if I wish to. Disable screen share for users. Actually, I want to take this off. Now that I'm seeing it, I want to take that off. Nice. Annotation. So annotation, it allows you, I'll show you this in the video about sharing content. And annotation, I can actually, when I'm in a Zoom meeting, I can write on the screen. So I have options to pens or text, whatever it may be. I'm not in a Zoom meeting right now. That's the next video. Okay, whiteboard, so you can enable the whiteboard. Remote control, during screen sharing, the person who is sharing can allow others to control the shared content. So if I'm sharing something, let's say a Word document, and I want somebody else to be able to type on my document, that gives them control. Meeting reactions, that's smiley face, clapping, no, smiley face, clapping, thumbs up, oh yeah. That's what the meeting reaction is about. Okay, now there's a security issue. Allow removed participants to rejoin. If you remove someone from your meeting, you remove them for some reason. Let's say they were disturbing the meeting and you decide to remove them. They can come back in if you have this option selected. If you do not have the option selected, once you remove them, you cannot allow them in. Now, I've selected it because sometimes there are technical difficulties and you might have to remove the participant and they could come back in. And usually, you know, whatever issues they had to sort it out. So I have that option. All right. That's my personal preference. Allow participants to rename themselves. Yeah. So when participants join with their phone, sometimes their name pops up as the phone name, and when they join, they now are able to rename themselves as their actual name, which I rather you rename yourself as your actual name so that you humanize this online environment. Hide the profile pics, that's a personal preference. Breakout rooms, right? Now this is something you have to enable. It comes with a free version as well, but you have to enable it. Okay. Let's see. Closed captioning. So you notice that all of these settings, they have an explanation to it, or I should say most of them have an explanation to it. Is a virtual background. I personally don't use a virtual background. It doesn't work well with me, but so it depends on your computer capabilities and maybe your internet capabilities as well for that to work really well. Video filters. Okay. Next one we want to look at is show a join from browser link. Now, that just allows, let's say, click on the link and people are trying to join from their computer. They can join from the web browser. They don't necessarily have to join from the app, which can download onto your computer as well. Allow for live streaming meetings. So I have only allowed YouTube to be streamed to, but you can allow Facebook as well. All right, and custom live streaming. And what else here? Okay, email notifications. So you can set up where you want it, when you want an email to be sent to you and for whatever reason. So if there's a cloud recording, yes, I want to see an email. If the attendees join before the host, yeah, I want to know if someone is in my meeting. When the meeting is cancelled, what alternative host is set or removed from the meeting. So you can have someone else, an alternative host, allowed on your paid plan, which I believe you have to pay more for another host, to set up, to start a meeting for you. Right? Only a host can start a meeting. Co-host cannot. Let's see. What else? I think that's it. Right, that's it. Right? Okay. So that's it for settings. So next I'm going to go through the different types of meetings.